Hello, this is Gary Cobb with you, and I'm being joined by Clay Harbor. Those of you that are Eagles fans, of course, you remember the name Clay Harbor. Clay played with the Eagles. He also played with the Bears, those Chicago Bears. And who else did you play with, Clay?
I mean, it'd probably be easier to talk about the teams that I didn't play for, but I also played for the Jaguars, the Lions, and the Patriots, and the Saints. So after Philly, had those 4 years in Philly, 3 years in Jacksonville. Then I went to New England. Then after that, I went to Detroit. And after that, I went to New Orleans. So I got my frequent flyer miles. Got my
you got some
my
good exposure. I mean, you saw a lot of systems and different coaches, and seeing the way people do things differently. So it was kind of like a training session, huh?
Absolutely.
Be able to see a lot of football, and that's great because that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about some football, and namely, we want to talk about big game, of course, that's coming up. You got the Eagles hosting the Cowboys, and everybody's talking about it around the country because you got two teams. One is 5-0, the Eagles, and the other is 4-1. And of course, the Cowboys, like it or not, that they are, I don't know if you want to say they're America's team, but there are a lot of Americans teams because they're very popular throughout the country, and they really have made some statements with their defense. I mean, Micah Parsons and that whole group they have over there, man, they've got some guys that can rush the passer, and so it's going to be a good battle. And I think that, this game is going to be one up front.
Yeah.
And I think the team that is able to establish themselves, and really the team that can run the ball effectively, if the Cowboys can run the ball effectively, that's going to really allow them to not put weight on Cooper Rush. Whereas if they can't run it, then it's going to be pressure on him. And really, the same is true for the Eagles. How do you see this thing playing out, or what do you think is going to be some of the big keys to who wins this game?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's can the Eagles neutralize this defensive line? In my opinion, you got the best pass rusher, Micah Parsons, going against the league's best right tackle, Lane Johnson. And I know they'll flip Micah Parsons from right to left and left to right and do a lot of different things to get him the matchup that they want, but he's going to see a lot of Lane Johnson. Yeah. Can Lane Johnson stop him? And then obviously Jordan Mailata, or if Jack Driscoll has to go. So can those guys contain Micah Parsons? It's huge. They're the best versus the best. Best offensive line versus one of the best pass rushers. Can you give Jalen Hurts time to throw the ball? So to me, that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a huge part of this game. Can they control that defensive line? And then obviously, not only do you have Micah Parsons, you also have to worry about DeMarcus Lawrence, another guy there, and then you got a great middle linebacker in Leighton Vander Esch. So good defense from the Cowboys. See if this O-line can really hold up to the challenge.
And they're dealing with some injuries. Those guys. Some of them come in. They're going to play. I clearly can see that they're going to play because they've been practicing. But if you talk about Jason Kelce, he's laboring. He's had some time where he had to come off the field, and so he's going out there and he's not totally 100%. You got the same thing with Lane Dickerson, the left guard, Jordan Mailata. But it really is part of what happens when you play in the NFL, though. Most of the time, you're playing with something where you're not totally 100%. So these guys are going to play. They have a very good offensive line, and that's why this is fun. This is what we used to have a coach at USC, Marv Goo. He used to say, "Big man on big man." So he always liked when we were playing against a team. Let's say we're playing Notre Dame or whatever. He said, "Great, big man on big man. We'll see who's the toughest." Because these guys have got two outstanding lines. I mean, you've got the Eagles' offensive line, and they're one of the best in the league. Now, the Cowboys, I didn't realize that their defensive line was as good as it is. Yeah. I mean, that they can, take over a game the way they did against the Rams. I mean, the Rams, oh man, that was a butt whooping. They beat up. They just beat up the Rams, really. and pounding them.
The pass rush of the Cowboys, whenever it's a pass, they pressure the opposing quarterback the second most in the NFL at 37% of the time. Over a third of the time, you're dropping back.
Yeah,
you're getting pressure.
That's right.
So you get most of the time, you're gonna have to worry about where these guys are coming from.
And you know, they're not necessarily blitzing. You know, they're just coming with those four guys and with Parsons and Lawrence really coming from outside. But they've been getting pressure up the gut too. See, that's where you know, you're dealing with guys where I wasn't really that familiar with, and I'm going like, well, who is that guy? Who is this guy? So they have got a number of guys that really, you know, one-on-one blocks. It wasn't where, you know, they were blitzing. It's just one-on-one blocks. They were beating their man and putting pressure on the quarterback. And that's why this is going to be so interesting, because the Eagles pride themselves, their offensive line prides themselves with being able to block guys one-on-one. They're going, look, we don't need any help. We can block this guy. Now, they're probably going to give help on Michael Parsons. But everybody else, they're going to have to block their man.
Honestly, I don't think – obviously, Micah Parsons is one of the best in the league. But watching Lane Johnson's – I was just watching some tape.
Yeah.
I don't even know for sure that Lane's going to need help when he goes to the other side against Jordan Mailata. Lane Johnson is that good. I am on team Lane Johnson. He is that good. I go, how does this guy just stop him instantly in his tracks? He doesn't even give up momentum. I go, that's not even like the law of physics. He should be getting pushed back a little bit because he's stationary and this guy's rushing to his chest. He just drops his anchor. He has a big punch, and he stops him in their tracks. And obviously, I want to see how he does against one of the best in the entire league.
Yeah, well, Parsons, he's not so much just the power. He's got that speed around the corner, and we'll see if he could get him moving, you know, because that's what one thing is that if you could get him moving, see, that it's tougher on an offensive tackle because he's moving, all that, you know, he's got to have the body control to do that. Now, Lane is as good as they come.
Yeah.
So maybe he can do it. But, you know, the thing that I'll be interested to see, though, is what strategy the Eagles are going to use against that pass rush. Now, I think the Eagles have got to run the ball. They cannot get away from the running game, meaning like every time they snap the ball, if I were calling the game, I would make sure that these guys were worried about the run. So that way they can't just fly off the ball and just be thinking pass rush. You know, for years, you know, when I was playing, we had guys, we would have a call that was a pass call. Like we knew if they were in a certain formation that they loved to throw out of, we would give the guys a call. So that means go ahead. So a lot of times our defensive line, they were going, Cobb, no, I'm going, no, man, you got to play the run, man. You got you got to play. They were going, no, is it the call? I said, it's not the call. Just you got to play the run, because they didn't want to play the run. They just want to rush the passer. See,
they want to rush the passer.
They want to rush the passer.
Against the Eagles, you gotta be aware of the run, because Miles Sanders is averaging 5 yards a clip. He's on pace for 1,400 yards rushing this year. This guy's the real deal. You got to get him started early. Make sure that they're aware that, hey, we're not just gonna throw the ball around, try to get it to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. We're also going to run the ball with Miles Sanders, who's on pace for 1,400 yards.
Sometimes they get away from it, you know, because deep down, Nick Sirianni, he likes to throw better than run, because he was a wide receiver coach.
Yep.
You know, and deep down, he loves to throw the ball, but they've got to keep the run threat there. Even if they're not having a lot of success running the ball, by running it some, they're going to be able to make sure that pass rush does not get out of control. That means you make guys play the run first before they take off and they're flying upfield. Because I was looking at the Cowboys against the Rams. Man.
Oh, yeah.
They were turning it loose like on third down. And they were just turning it loose, and those guys were coming off the corner, and really they beat Matt Stafford to a pulp. He was seeing ghosts. You know when a guy where there's nobody coming, and then he threw the ball into the ground because he thought somebody was coming.
They got him rattled.
They got him rattled, and I don't want to see that happen to Jalen Hurts. So I would like to see the Eagles make sure they keep that run, keep that run threat there. And that's going to be one of the keys because on the other side of the ball, though, I think the Eagles, if they can shut down the run, boy, that's really going to put a lot of pressure on Cooper Rush. And I wonder how much the Cowboys would be willing to throw the ball against the Eagles, if they stop that running game. But, it's easier said than done because the Cowboys have a good running game too. And those two running backs they have, they got two quality running backs back there. And Pollard really is the guy, man, that really will have you up at night thinking about, what he brings to the table. But
absolutely.
But this is going to be a great game though, because you got all of the rivalry with the Eagles and the Cowboys, and we know how much it's hyped, and people in Philadelphia, just the mention of the Cowboys.
I'm coming down for this. I'm coming down for the game. I'm in New York City right now. I'm taking the train. I'm coming down for the game just to watch this. Yeah, I'll be out. I got field passes before the game, so I might see you out there, G Cobb. I'm coming in to see this because Dallas is giving up the third fewest points in the league right now. They got a great defense against the best offense, in my opinion. And then obviously they got this run game. Pollard, I fear him more than I do Ezekiel Elliott.
Without
if they can stop him, then I think they're going to win this game. You got to stop Pollard.
You got to stop Pollard.
A step slow now. Pollard is explosive. He's averaging more yards a carry than Elliott. He is a tough runner. But I think this Eagles defense is really good too. I mean, you look at their defensive backs. CeeDee Lamb's okay. I think Slay handles him. I think their line. TJ Edwards is still playing great. I love this D line. I think Jordan Davis is getting more and more reps, and he's living up to all the hype. Fletcher Cox still got some juice. And these guys are still playing well. So I think the Eagles are gonna take this one, but I think it's going to be a lot tougher.
That's right. They got to go out there and do it because you mentioned about Tony Pollard. I mean, you see that run he made against the Rams, man.
Oh, he's got juice.
That was a dagger shot, and he's done this throughout the season where he comes in. Zeke was in it, and all of a sudden you go, oh, that's not Zeke, it's Pollard, and you see him taking it to the house because when he gets out there, it's not like Zeke where you're going to run him down. You're not going to run him down. And he's got the kind of strength, the combination of strength and speed where he breaks tackles and it keeps things going. Now to look a little closer, we talked about some of these things, but going through some of these matchups and how these things are going to work out, of course, looking over all of it, you've got the whole quarterback situation. And we'll talk about that a little later, but, the quarterbacks are going to play a key role in this game. But if we were look at the matchups, looking at the Cowboys wide receivers, matched up against the Eagles defensive backs, you've got some talent, but I think that they missed Cooper. I think they definitely missed Cooper.
Yeah.
With their wideouts. I mean, you got some quality guys back there. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Noah Brown. Then you got the tight end Dalton Schultz. So you have some pretty good receivers, but you've got young quarterback throwing to them. I think it's a group which I got to give the Eagles. I mean, their cornerbacks and their safeties, their people that got back there, they should be able to lock these guys down. And I don't know how much man they're going to play as compared to zone and that sort of thing. But I like Darius Slay and James,
I like the matchups.
Bradbury and everything up against the Cowboys wide receivers. What's your thoughts?
I agree. I think I think Gallup can play, and CeeDee Lamb, he's had some ups and downs, but he can play. But I think these cornerbacks can handle it. They've handled better players. I think Slay and Bradbury will get the job done. I really like our defense. I think that Dalton Schultz is a good tight end, but I think going through the middle there, I think our safeties have been playing well. I like TJ Edwards is actually pretty good in coverage. Kaiser White is fast, can move. He can match up against a tight end. So I really like the matchups there. But I don't know are you going to be able to force some turnovers? Cooper Rush hasn't turned the ball over.
Yeah, I
Cooper
know.
Rush has no. I mean, he hasn't thrown for a ton of yards, but he has 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's got a 95 rating. He's efficient. He's not going to turn the ball over.
That's the way they have won. You know, they got an outstanding defense. They had Cooper Rush. He's done what you would need to do in this situation, which is take care of the football. I know they must be preaching it to him all the time because he's doing a great job of which is take care of the football. If you got to throw it away, we'll punt. We'd rather punt. We don't want to be turning the ball over. And so the whole thing is, the Eagles need to force some turnovers because that's really what would give them a huge advantage. But, you know, the running game, I know they're going to jump in that 5-man front. The Eagles play a 5-man front where they have Jordan Davis over the center.
Yeah.
They've got Fletcher Cox over one guard, Javon Hargrave over the other guard, and then they've got outside Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. And that's that 5-man front. And it's tough to run against those groups. You know, they're going to they're probably will, you know, they're not going to get away from their running game because they know if they get away from their running game and ask too much of Rush, they're going to put him in a bad situation. So that's the delicate thing that goes on is what will they do against when they see that 5-man front? Because I can see Jordan Davis, he's starting to come on, you know, where he's starting to throw around guys the way, you know, you would hope he would be. So I think they're going to have trouble running against that. But the whole thing is, how long will the Cowboys continue to just – I imagine they've been stubborn about it where they believe in that defense.
Yep.
So, you know, that's what we're going to see. That's going to be a good battle to see what happens there. Now, looking over at the you know, I'm going to go ahead and talk about like Cooper Rush.
Yep. Now,
I saw where he was like 9 for 16. You know, we only throw the ball 16 times in an NFL game, which is that's amazing.
Well, that's tough to do.
Yeah, very and win. But what they were able to do is, and this is going to play in this game too, which is they picked up a ball and ran it back in. You know, they forced a fumble and returned it for a touchdown.
Yeah.
They also blocked the punt and gave the Cowboys the ball on, like, let's say the 20-yard line or something like that.
Yeah.
So you had those two play. The defense scored, and then they block a punt and give them the ball on the 20-yard line because probably from a stat standpoint, the Rams, you know, might have outgained them. I didn't even really look and see, but it's it's an amazing game. You know, they are playing that style of ball, so the Eagles have got to make sure they don't turn the ball over.
Yep.
And really try to get that running game going, you know, to make sure that they're not at the mercy of that pass rush, because they get at the mercy of that pass rush, man.
That's hard to do. And Cooper Rush, 10 of 16 last week. He threw 16 times. 16 times he threw the ball.
In an NFL game.
Yeah, and he got sacked 3 times. He got gave him 3 sacks, and he only had 16 dropbacks. So the Eagles can get after him when he does drop back. You'd have the trouble. You know, Jason Peters went down. They brought him in. They've been having trouble trying to fill that spot at left tackle. So when they do pass, they can get after him. And Stafford did have some yards, so they can get some yards throwing the ball when he wasn't on his back. Stafford got sacked.
Well, I saw the big throw to Cup. He had a big throw to Cooper Cup.
He had 300 yards passing, but he did get sacked 5 times. So there's some yardage to be had out there. There's tape of him. Cup had 125 yards last week. So there's going to be some opportunities. If you can block these guys in the secondary, there will be some opportunities, some chances to get some yards, some chunk plays. But, you know, like we've said, you got to handle Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. That's what it's going to be. Those are 2 guys that you don't like to see walking in the door.
That's right. And, you know, Lawrence, started a little bonfire here where he said that, you know, he didn't want to get any more questions about Hurts. I don't care about Hurts. That's irrelevant what Hurts is doing. You know, we're going to do our thing, you know. And, you know, but, you know, it's not a big deal, but you can make it a big deal in the locker room.
Oh, yeah. That's going up
So
on the bulletin board.
you better
That's going
believe
up on the board.
you
Okay,
better
we'll see what
believe
he's
it's
talking about, Hurts. Because Hurts, they don't realize Hurts is like a running back. This guy is not small. Hurts
Yeah.
is a big dude. When I was out there at training camp with you guys,
Yeah.
I walked on the field like, oh, the Eagles got a new tight end. I hold up. That ain't a tight end. That's Jalen Hurts. This dude's big. This
Yeah,
guy
he
just
is.
ain't squatting 600 pounds.
Yeah, he
600
is.
pounds?
And he's strong too. You can see the way he runs through tackles. You know, he's got strong legs. And even he had a situation where a number of times he's gone down near the goal line and carried people into the end zone.
Oh, against the Jaguars.
Yeah,
you see the game against the Jaguars. He won't be denied. He just get fourth down and goal. He's pushing his way in the end zone. He's so strong, 225 pounds. Obviously, these pass rushers are you sacking normal quarterbacks. Now they're going to have to sack Jalen Hurts. It's not the same. It's not easy when you got a guy that quick and that strong back there trying to take him down.
Well, we're definitely going to find out. I mean, that's why this is going to be such a great battle, because on both sides of the ball, regardless of which team has the ball, you're going to have that battle at the line of scrimmage. And that's why I look at this game and I say, well, you know what? This is going to be decided at the line of scrimmage, because if one of the teams can show a dominance, whether it be running the ball or not and letting the other team run the ball, then they're going to take over and you're going to see them get opportunities to make big plays. Because if either one of these teams starts throwing the ball every play, you're asking for trouble, And the chances are there's going to be a turnover, or you could wind up getting your quarterback hit and turning the ball over in the backfield. So that's something that's going to be very interesting to see which team shows that dominance. Hopefully that, of course, rooting for the Eagles, that they're able to do it. But this is going to be, I'm not sure how this thing is going to break, because the Cowboys and their defense, and I will say this also is, in fairness, their offensive line, they've done a great job, because they have been able to run the ball, even though they really don't have a serious, passing game that you would really look at, as much of a threat as their running game.
Absolutely.
And yet they've still been able to run the ball.
That's tough to do.
Yeah, that's tough to do. And they did it against the Rams, which is a team that's the defending Super Bowl champions. So that's nothing to seize at. Now, looking at other factors in this game, special teams. And this is where, if you want to look at any place where the Eagles have, maybe they're a little shaky, which is their special teams. And the Cowboys blocked a punt last week. Now, I know the Eagles are going to look at that. I'm sure the Cowboys are going to have other punt blocks in. But they had a guy came right up the gut, right over center. Yeah. Came through, and he didn't just get the punt, he got all of the punt. Meaning like he was there, and he was there early.
Yeah.
I mean, right up the gut. So I'm sure the Eagles be prepared for what they showed, but they got to do a better job. They haven't been doing really a good job with the special teams. Yeah. Both with returning punts and covering them. Well, they've been all right covering, because I know Zach McPherson's done a good job. In fact, he was a special teams player of the week for the job he did. One of the weeks, I think, maybe the first week of the season, because he recovered that onside kick by the Lions. Yep. And he made a couple of tackles, and he was special teams player of the week. But looking at the matchups, though, these lines, when the Eagles have the ball and when the Cowboys have the ball. When the Cowboys have the ball, you got big Zach Martin. He's still there. Yep. They love to run by him. Big guard. They love running behind him. They like running right up that gut. And, Zeke does a good job, even though he's not breaking anything. He gets you 5 yards. And, if you're getting 5 yards, you're staying in a good situation with the yardage where they don't know what you're going to do the next down. If it's 2nd and 5, you could throw the ball or you could run the ball. And you kind of keep the other team where they can't really turn loose. They can't, and that's why if the Eagles are able to do that, that's really going to put the Cowboys defensive line. That's going to kind of disarm them where they're not going to be flying upfield. And it does the same thing to the Eagles defensive line. Now, one thing I like it that the Eagles have been doing, and namely Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick, when he's just not satisfied with a sack. He goes after the football. And he does a tremendous job, because a sack is one thing, but a strip sack where you turn it into a turnover. Turnovers, if you win the turnover battle, most of the time you win the game.
Yeah, it's like he called game against the Jaguars when he finished the game on that strip sack against Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's been real good at that. He don't go for the big hit. He goes for the football. And that's what you should do. It's like people, when they block a shot, some people want to throw it out of bounds. The best shot blocker, Bill Russell, he tried to tip it, he tried to catch it. He wants the ball. The ball more important.
And turn it into a fast break going the other way too.
Yep, absolutely.
But that's definitely a great point. So this situation where with Hassan, because he's been able to really go after turnovers. Well, I think if either team really wins the turnover battle, chances are they're going to win the game, because the Cowboys really needed, like, they would not have beaten the Rams without those turnovers. They got one turnover for a touchdown, and the other turnover, I think they got 3 points out of that. So, out of their, they got 10 points from turnovers, and the Eagles definitely don't want to give them that, but that's going to mean they got to run the ball. And really just kind of keep that threat on you. So how do you feel out of the game? How do you feel this game is going to play out?
I think here's what's going to happen. I think the Eagles offensive line shows up. Watching the tape, they are that good. Obviously, I know the Cowboys, they might get one here, one there, but the Eagles don't let anybody take over the game with the pass rush. I think the Eagles will establish the run with Miles Sanders. They'll give Hurts the time he needs to throw the football. It's supposed to be a nice day out there in Philly. I think the defense shows up when Rush has the ball. That Hassan Reddick, like we said, he's first in the NFL in forced fumbles with 3. First in the league. He's got 4.5 sacks already. He's going to apply pressure. BG's playing well. He's going to apply pressure. You got some guys from the interior, they're going to apply pressure. You got to stop the run. Tony Pollard averaging 5.6 yards a carry. Whenever he's in the game, you got to stop Tony Pollard. I think the Birds will do that. TJ Edwards, smart guy. He knows Kaiser White. Smart linebacker. I think the Birds will not run away with it. It'll be a tight game, but I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles by 10, 27-17. Fly, Eagles, fly. Everybody goes home happy, I think.
Well, they definitely would be happy if that would have happened, 27-17. With that, I too, I'm leaning towards the Eagles with this game. I do respect the Cowboys, though, and I know that I don't know their defense as well as I know the Eagles' defense, but I definitely look at a Cowboys defense and say they're the reason they're 4-1.
Yeah.
Because even when I think about the one loss they had, which was against what was that, Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
The one loss they had, their defense kept them in the game.
Kept them in the game.
I mean, they had a chance to win that game. Their defense kept them in the game throughout the entire contest.
Yeah,
but the offense couldn't do anything, and that was with Dak out there. So their defense. Say what you will, man, they're legit. They shut down Tampa Bay, and they've done that to every team they played. The defense has played well, so I'm really interested in seeing whether the Eagles can get a running game, can run the ball effectively against them, so that they can disarm that pass rush.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see Jalen Hurts back there and getting that ball knocked out of his hands, and the ball is loose. Yeah. And so that's going to be, I think, where this game is won when the Eagles have the ball, because I think the Eagles defense, they should be able to handle the Cowboys, because they really don't have a serious pass threat. I mean, they're not. I don't see them as a really sophisticated passing game.
No.
with Cooper Rush. It's basically they're gonna run the football, and if they can't run the football, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, they got to be able to run the football. The guy completed 10 passes last week, but like you said, you got to make sure Micah Parsons leading the NFL in sacks. They got 6 sacks already. This guy can wreck a game. You got to block Micah Parsons. How you do that? Keep him off balance. You run the football to start. Get him thinking it could be run. Hit a couple play actions, and from there you'll get some space. You'll get some time for your offensive tackles. But I still want to see him and Lane Johnson go after it. I want to see this. Lane Johnson's number 1 ranked right tackle in the NFL from Pro Football Focus. Micah Parsons is the number 1 defensive edge rusher on Pro Football Focus. This is unstoppable. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object?
Yeah,
we're going to find out.
We're going to find out, and to see how this whole thing is going to play out, boy. Because I know you got a lot of people that are they are caught up into this game, and everybody's waiting to see this game and how it's going to play out. But I definitely think it's going to be one with those big guys up front. Whoever takes over the game, one team's able to run the ball, the another team isn't. Then it might take a little time, but it's going to play out where the team that can't run the football will put too much pressure on their quarterback, and they'll be throwing the ball too much. And I hope the Eagles, the big thing is, I hope they don't just do it where they're where they just get away from their running game, because I think sometimes they get away from it too much, and that's where you get in trouble. Because I thought they did it last week. If you see the last drive of the game, they went to 2 tight ends and ran the football, ran the clock out basically, and drove the ball downfield, and they kicked the field goal. They were almost in position to score a touchdown, but they ran the ball. They didn't do that throughout the entire game. They kind of got away from their running game. And I don't think they're at their best when they do that. Even though, they got some outstanding receivers to throw the ball to. Got to run the football. Now, Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Of course, he's going to play a key role in this game. He's been playing better and better. I saw him make a throw last week where he's rolling to his left and connected with Devontae Smith where he was down by the goal line. He's got a guy coming at him in his face.
Yep.
And he rolls to his left. Now, last year, he was not able to make that throw where he's rolling to his left, sets his body, boom. The ball is right on the money. And he just made huge jumps in his play.
Absolutely.
Do you think he'll keep it up this week?
I do. This pass rush is tough. This defense is tough. Second best pass rush in the entire NFL. But you look at his numbers. 2020, when he's playing, he's completing 52% of his passes. 2021, completing 61%. This year, he's completing 68%. This guy, he just continues to improve. He keeps getting better. He can pass it. He can run it. He runs a zone read better than any quarterback. I watch Justin Fields a lot, being from Chicago. He can't run the zone read like Jalen Hurts can. Jalen Hurts has such a good feel for the zone read. He has such a good feel for when to run it and when to throw it this year. And this year, he's not tucking and running. He's keeping his eyes downfield. If he sees something open, when he scrambles, he's not just tucking and running. He can find the players downfield now. He can find the open receiver. That's one thing watching Justin Fields he's not doing. When he tucks that ball, he's tucking and he's running.
It's a lot to do for a young quarterback. There's a lot of reads to make. And I will give Jalen credit, man. He has taken his game to another level because even though you got to do all this stuff quickly, you can't be in a rush to where you're frantic. Yeah. So you got to do it quickly, but you got to be clear-headed. And he does a great job of going with the fake, making the defender commit one way or the other. And he takes his time about it. And, even though he does it quickly, so, of course, he's the key. If he plays this game, the Cowboys are really in some major trouble. And
he's been consistent. He's been consistent. He's shown he can do it. Yeah. I mean, back it up. Every year is rating. Every year is completion percentage. His rating went from 77, 87 to 97, his quarterback rating. I mean, this is proving he's everything that you want to see a young quarterback do. And he's only 24 years old, man. This guy, most 24-year-olds are still sleeping at their mom's house in the basement or something. This guy's over here leading the the NFL and wins. He's in the MVP race, and he just keeps getting better. Obviously, this is a tough pass rush. We'll see how he does against them. But I love those big boys he's got up front. Kelsey, I played with Kelsey. Kelsey knows his stuff. Kelsey's going to get him in the right calls. He's a little banged up. Kelsey's going to be out there. He's going to be playing through those injuries. Kelsey's still the best center in the NFL, in my opinion. Lane Johnson, best right tackle. This whole line's going to stand up against his defense, in my opinion.
Well, they're going to get the chance to, and of course with Jalen, man, you know, he's been questioned, and you know, I've questioned him because, you know, coming into this season to say, you know, I don't know what he's going to do, but he's so far he's passed the test. He's been amazing, and we'll see whether he's able to keep it up. But he's definitely right now he's playing like at an MVP level, where right now he would be one of the players that would be seriously considered to be the MVP of the league, and that's at about, you know, almost a quarter to a third of the season completed. But we'll see how this whole thing plays out. It's going to be a good one. But I got the Eagles. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I say 20-10 rather than 27. Who knows? Maybe it's 27-10. But I see the Eagles winning this game. But I don't see the Cowboys scoring a lot of points. If the Eagles defense, if they play the way they're capable of playing. And I think they're going to play a good game. And then the Eagles offense will find their way against that defense. And I got 20-10. And we'll see how it works out. But Clay, I want to thank you for joining me. And hopefully we'll get a chance to do this together soon. Oh, my pleasure. I'll see you out there at the game, G Cobb. Okay. And all you Eagle fans, come there with your loudest voice. Yep. And even if you're at home, make some noise. Yep. But thanks for joining us. Of course.